The 1992 Harshad Mehta Scam sent shockwaves through India's financial system. Mehta, a charismatic stockbroker, orchestrated a massive fraud that exposed vulnerabilities in the country's banking and regulatory framework. His meteoric rise and spectacular fall became a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked speculation and market manipulation. Harshad Mehta started his career as a humble jobber at the Bombay Stock Exchange. He possessed a sharp mind and an uncanny ability to read market trends. Mehta quickly rose through the ranks, building a reputation as a shrewd investor who delivered consistent returns. His growing influence attracted a loyal following of investors eager to ride his wave of success. Mehta's investment strategy focused heavily on leveraging funds to amplify his gains. He exploited a regulatory loophole that allowed banks to issue bank receipts to each other. These bank receipts, typically used for short-term lending, became a key instrument in Mehta's elaborate scheme. He used forged bank receipts to secure vast sums of money from banks, far exceeding his authorized borrowing limits. The Indian banking system in the early 1990s was ripe for exploitation. Regulations were lax, and there was a lack of oversight over interbank lending practices. Mehta capitalized on these weaknesses, using the borrowed funds to artificially inflate the prices of select stocks. This created a bullish market sentiment, attracting more investors and further fueling his scheme. Mehta's preferred targets were companies with strong fundamentals but relatively illiquid stocks. By aggressively buying these stocks, he created an artificial demand that drove up their prices. This strategy, known as pump and dump, allowed him to sell his holdings at inflated prices, generating enormous profits for himself and his associates. As Mehta's wealth and influence grew, so did concerns about his unorthodox trading practices. Rumors of his fraudulent activities began to circulate in financial circles. However, his continued success silenced many skeptics. The allure of quick profits blinded investors and regulators alike to the impending crisis. The cracks in Mehta's empire began to appear when the State Bank of India, one of the banks he had borrowed heavily from, noticed discrepancies in its bank receipt transactions. An internal investigation revealed the extent of Mehta's fraudulent activities. The news sent shockwaves through the financial system, triggering a domino effect. As the truth unraveled, panic selling gripped the stock market. The Sensex, India's benchmark stock market index, witnessed its sharpest ever decline. Investors who had poured their savings into the market, lured by the promise of quick riches, saw their fortunes evaporate overnight. The scam exposed the fragility of the Indian stock market and eroded investor confidence. The aftermath of the scam was devastating. Several banks faced significant financial losses due to their exposure to Mehta's fraudulent deals. The government initiated a multi-agency investigation, leading to the arrest of Mehta and his associates. The scandal also triggered a public outcry, demanding accountability and stricter regulations to prevent such occurrences in the future. The Harshad Mehta scam was a watershed moment for India's financial markets. It exposed critical vulnerabilities in the banking system, regulatory framework, and investor behavior. The scandal forced the government and regulatory bodies to introspect and implement sweeping reforms to restore confidence in the markets. One of the most significant outcomes of the scam was the establishment of the Securities and Exchange Board of India as an independent regulatory authority. SEBI was tasked with overseeing the securities market, protecting investor interests, and preventing fraudulent activities. The scam also led to tighter regulations for interbank lending, dematerialization of shares, and enhanced corporate governance norms. The Harshad Mehta scam serves as a stark reminder of the importance of regulatory oversight, transparency, and investor education. It highlights the need for robust risk management systems, ethical behavior, and a vigilant approach to identifying and mitigating potential threats to the integrity of financial markets. The lessons learned from this scam continue to shape India's financial landscape, fostering a more resilient and investor-friendly environment.